What is up, YouTube? So much has changed since we last spoke. It's been a while since I did a video. I was trying to keep it a secret, but you may have just caught a glimpse of it. I finally decided to get a different bike. I traded in my Fat Boy and picked up this little gem. It's a 2018 Ultra Limited. As you can see, it has the tour pack, removable tour pack. As a matter of fact, I'll do a quick walk around. So you can see right there, it's got a little removable tour pack deal. Also aftermarket at these pipes. I believe they are D&D pipes, and I would assume it's a D&D slip-on as well. I don't know, it doesn't have any markings on it or anything. It's a used bike, obviously. Screaming Eagle air cleaner, so it does have the stage 1 on it. So a cool thing about the 2018s, well 2014 and up, is they have this optional display. Also has this compartment for your phone, which apparently is pretty deep. Guess I didn't realize. Bunch of add-ons and stuff. No, not really a bunch of add-ons, but a bunch of features for this year. It's pretty cool. We'll go over those here in just a minute. I'm trying to get my phone hooked up. So some of the features of this thing, let me turn this volume down. Obviously it's got all the different stuff on here as far as add-ons. I come with the 2014 and up. Connect my phone. There we go. Sweet. So yeah, one of my favorite things about this, as you can see, is the Bluetooth feature. So you can listen to your own music off of like Pandora or whatever while you're riding. ABS brakes front and back. Has this thing, I'm not sure if it's just for 2018. If you just use the front brake or just use the rear brake, it syncs both of them together. So I was always taught to use both brakes at the same time, so I don't really have a problem. Doesn't really do much for me, but it's a cool feature in case you forget. All the Project Rushmore style bikes, which is what this is, 2014 and up. I think in 2014 they call it Project Rushmore. I guess they're all Project Rushmore bikes, I don't know. They got equipped with the one-touch saddlebags. As you can see there, just lift this little lever here and it unlatches it, push it down, and it's latched again. Got the cool trunk on here, lots of space for stuff. Matter of fact, I'm gonna throw my GoPro stuff in here real quick in case I need an extra battery. This bike also has, like I said, the tour pack on it, and it's removable, so it's got the optional lights on the sides of the bag. The person before me removed the antenna, so it looks better, it looks clean, but you don't have your antenna on the back. So I'm going to have to get one of those, probably get a short rubber one. I'll go and fire it up and I'll hear the exhaust. So exhaust sounds pretty good. It's a lot quieter than my Fat Boy was with the big radius exhaust, so that's a big difference. But it's still got a rumble to it that I like. It sounds good. I wasn't sure how I'd like the 2-to-1 pipes, but I think it's kind of cool looking. I do like the dual exhaust, but I think this has grown on me just because of the sound, and I know it's a stage 1 and people are always going to the stage 1, so I'm happy that I already have it and don't have to mess with that. Obviously got the tour pack, highway pegs that were already on there, some installed. Those are a really nice feature to have. Also on these model years, there's no storage here. It's coolant. It's liquid cooled. Milwaukee 8 motor. It's got LED lights in the front. I think those come standard on 2014 and up, I'm not sure though. This cool little air vent up here stops any kind of buffeting. You can hit it to close it if it's raining or whatever. You get a slight movement of the helmet. It's not severe buffeting, it's just like the helmet moves around a little bit more. You open it and it completely goes away, for me anyway. Stock handlebars, everything else is stock, I think. So let's take her for a spin. I'll cover some more features here in just a moment. Let me get out on the road. So this bike, one good thing about this bike is, I think one of the first things I noticed was the steering. So going from a Softail to a touring bike, I think any touring bike is going to probably fit this mold I'm fixing to describe. But the steering is like super, it's just like super easy. And when I say that, I mean it takes no effort to turn the handlebar. And I think the reason why this is because the frame mounts more in the center of the forks on the touring models. So you don't have to put as much effort into turning the bike. Not that it was hard on the Softail, it just required a little bit more effort and a little bit more you had to be more deliberate about turning the bike on the Softail. So on the touring bikes, it's just super easy, and that's the first thing I noticed. The second thing is the throttle on this thing is super responsive. It may be the it may be the Milwaukee 8, it may be just the throttle, it may be a combination of both. But the biggest thing I've had to get used to is not giving the bike too much throttle and looking like a dumbass taking off, revving the motor up high. And chances are you'll probably see me do that in this video, because I'm still not completely used to the throttle. I've only had the bike about 4 days, but I've worked 2 of those. I've already put, I think around, 252 miles on the bike, just riding the hell out of it. The last thing I noticed was the wind is basically non-existent, even on a day like today where the winds are probably gusting up to 10 or 15 miles an hour. We were under a wind advisory last night, and I took her out, and it was windy, but it was nothing like riding a bike without a windshield. So one thing you didn't see on the Softail that I had a windshield for it, but I got such bad buffeting with the windshield on, I just took it off all the time usually. But I will tell you that I enjoyed having the windshield because it kept the wind off your chest. And if you're just cruising around town or whatever, you're not really getting over 60 miles an hour, the wind was no problem. But if you got on the highway, I feel like I was holding on to the handlebars really tight, trying to hold my upper torso up. And I'm kind of a wide built guy, so it probably wouldn't be as big of a deal for other people, but just for me it was kind of uncomfortable. So that's the other thing that I really like, that I noticed first and that I really like about this bike, is there's literally no wind because this fairing is here. I want to go right here, I don't want to go left. In saying that, you do notice the wind on the fairing, kind of like you could feel the wind gust at the fairing, but it's way better than it hitting you in the chest. So let's get out here on the road. So how did I come to get this bike? Well, probably about a month ago, maybe less, I went to put passenger floorboards on my Harley Fat Boy. So I ordered some floorboards from Harley, and they came in. Me and my wife drove the Fat Boy down to the Harley dealership, and we were kind of hanging around outside, just kind of taking a break from riding the bike before riding home. And we decided to hop on a touring bike just to check it out, sit on it. It was in the parking lot. This was kind of just before this was kind of right before, probably right in the middle of this quarantine thing. Harley hadn't yet made their stuff where you had to make an appointment. It was still like you could just walk in off the street. So we went down there, we sat on the touring bike, she was a believer and she wanted a touring bike right away. I mean, right when she got on, she was like, let's just get one. The Harley dealership where I live that day was closing about 5 o'clock. We were there and it was about 4:30, and I was like, we cannot, I can't make a deal in 30 minutes with these people. For one, I don't even know which bike I want. Two, like, I'm glad that you feel that way, but we can't do it that way. So we ended up riding home on the Harley, and I started doing some research, and I was really happy she was on board with it, though. I mean, I was stoked because I really wanted a bike. So I was totally excited that she was, you know, she was cool to get a bike. So I started looking around more, and I found a bike, a 2014 Harley Ultra Limited down in Dallas. So I made the decision. I called the place. Their showroom was closed because of this Corona thing going on, but they were doing an appointment only. So I got as much information about the bike as I could. It was a 2014 Ultra Limited with 6,500 miles, I think, give or take. So I talked to the sales guy over the phone, asked him kind of what he would give me as far as my trade goes, and just kind of had an overall discussion about what we were going to do, how I was going to do it, you know, whatever. And so they sent me his paperwork through they emailed it to me, and I printed it off and filled it. Basically what I was going to do was fill it out and go down there, turn it in, and pick up the bike, and then leave with the bike, and I was going to finance it or whatever. So that morning that I was supposed to do all that, I called Harley to cancel my service contract that I had on my Fat Boy. I'd paid for 3 services when I bought the bike, the Fat Boy. So I called them to cancel that to see if I could get some money back or whatever. I'd only used 1 service for an oil change and, like, you know, overall maintenance. One just basic service. So I had 2 left. So I called Harley, and a sales guy answered the phone. They were by appointment only as well. And I told him what I was doing, and, you know, he was like, he did what all sales people would do, and was like, hey, come on down here, let's see if we can get you on one of our bikes, make you a deal or something. And I was like, well, you know, I appreciate you trying to do that for me, but I've already looked on y'all's website, and nothing that I've found is even close to what I'm wanting to pay for a bike. Most of the time, Harley dealerships are ridiculously overpriced, at least from my experience. So he ended up talking to me about everything and offered me more for my trade, and told me he could give me the money for my services if I bought a bike from them. So that gave me a little bit more money to play around with. So I started looking on their website again and found this bike. And this bike obviously was a 2018 Ultra Limited. Had the removable tour pack and a stage 1 kit already on it. It also had around 6,500 miles on it. So I told him, I said, y'all are, you know, I found this bike I want, that I like, but y'all's price is way higher than what I'm wanting to look at. And he's like, well, you got all this extra money and stuff, and, you know, you got good credit, come in and let's see if we can do something. So I was like, well, it's on my way down to Dallas anyway, so I'll come through there. So end up at the Harley dealership, ride the Fat Boy down there, because I knew I was going to get a bike that day. It was either going to be the one at Harley or the one down in Dallas. Ended up checking this bike out. Really liked it. You know, it had the removable tour pack and the upgrades and stuff, and sat down with them, and I ended up turning down like 4 of their offers. And they finally got to the number I was looking for. They were actually $200 more than what I was looking for, but with extra features, I was like, I went ahead and did it. You know, I know I'm sure they made money off me. I know they did. I know they made some money off me, but that's part of the business. And it wasn't uncomfortable for me to purchase this bike. That was the main thing. You know, never get in over your head. And that was the biggest thing that I didn't want to do. And I felt confident and comfortable with what the number they gave me. And, you know, I knew the bike was, you know, worth more because it's 4 years newer and has all these extra features on it. So I paid more than I originally was going to, but by no means did I screw myself, I don't think. So yeah, I ended up leaving there real happy with the purchase, and my wife rode home, and she absolutely loved the bike, still loves it. Super comfortable for her. I mean, no complaints from her at all. She loves it. I do, for me, I want to buy a couple of mods I want to buy just for me. I want to buy a tour pack extension or trunk extension kit that will basically allow me to move the trunk of the bike back a few inches. The reason being is whenever my wife gets on the bike, her legs kind of push me forward a little bit just because she's got longer legs. So I want to get that tour pack thing and kind of move her back just a little bit more. That way I have a little bit more room. Not a big issue. It's definitely not something that like makes us not able to ride. Just a little bit more for comfort. The next thing I want to purchase, and I actually already ordered, is a smaller tarp or cover for this bike. Because right now I have a large one that I use, you know, anytime. I don't have a garage, so I use a tarp, and it's a good sized tarp, and it covers the whole bike. But it takes up a lot of room if you fold it up. So I ordered a smaller tarp for longer trips where I can just cover the top portion of the bike. You know, keep the sun off of it, keep the morning dew or you know, a rainstorm off the bike overnight if we're staying at a hotel or something or camping. So I've already ordered that. I also ordered an antenna because, like I said earlier, the previous owner removed the antenna. It looks like. I don't think I have a hidden antenna kit. That may be something I do in the future because I like the way that looks. But for now, I'm just going to stick with the actual antenna itself. Now, one thing I do need to double check though, I just thought about, was it has the removable tour kit. So that antenna might be somewhere else. I don't know. I'll have to double check. But I went ahead and ordered just two of those little flimsy, not really flimsy, but rubber antennas that are kind of short. They look a little bit cleaner than a huge antenna. I ordered two of them. It comes with two because they're CB radios, but this bike, the 2018s, maybe the 2017s, they deleted the CB radio. I don't know if it was just 2018, I'm not sure. I'm not really that bummed about it. I mean, it's cool to have that, I guess, but I mean, I don't see myself ever using that. I don't think that many people use that anymore anyway. I had the dealership throw in a street glide seat with the bike. That way I could take off the touring pack and change the seats out and effectively have a street glide style bike. So that's another reason why I really dove into this purchase. Was it's kind of like having two bikes in one, from what I've heard, and you can just take off that trunk and throw on a different seat and you basically have a street glide. So if it's just you and you don't want this big tour pack on there, the trunk or whatever, you can throw that off and have a whole other style bike. So I'm pretty stoked about that. But so far the trunk really hasn't really hindered me at all. I mean, the bike is overall it's heavier, but it's not like unmanageable. And I kind of wish that I had gotten this bike sooner, just because it's like a dream to ride. I feel like I could go all day on it. And the shocks are amazing. I think these models have air shocks. I don't this model may have the turn knob. I have to double check. I know the 2014 was air shocks. This model may be the Harley adjustable knob or whatever. I don't know what it is now, but I haven't really done a whole lot of gazing at the bike just because I've been riding it every chance I get. So I haven't taken a lot of time to just stare the bike over and see what it has. I know when I signed the documents to buy the bike, I know for a fact it has aftermarket air cleaner, Screaming Eagle air cleaner, highway bars, a 12-inch windshield, and the aftermarket exhaust. Anyway, I've really been enjoying it. These heated hand warmers on a day like today, when it's 50 degrees out now, they really help. I mean, I got heavy gloves on, but those hand warmers definitely make a difference. Anybody that's thinking about jumping up to a touring bike, I highly encourage you to get one with a Batwing fairing. I looked at the Road Kings pretty heavily. I never test rode one, just because I know they don't have the features that the Ultra Limited has. I really like the style of them, and if it was just me riding and I wanted to upgrade to a bigger bike, I might have gone with that or a Street Glide. Looked at a couple Road Kings. I don't really care for the front fairing on those. Just my personal preference. I just don't care for the look. I know a lot of guys that love them. Just something I never cared for. I like the classic style look at bikes, but I always mess around and said these kind of bikes are very grandpa grandpa-ish bikes, old person bikes. But man, I can't say anything bad about them now. I get why people ride them, because it's you have all the fun of riding a motorcycle without the lack of storage, without the wind blowing you around the entire ride, wearing you out. Because my thing is, I want to travel on my bike. I want to take some good trips across Texas and maybe even the U.S. And this bike really gives me the ability to do that, because it cuts down the wind, and it's got a lot more storage features, and just a ton of more comfort features. But yeah, I'm excited for this bike for this summer. Hopefully things will be opened back up, and this whole Corona thing will be gone, the COVID-19 stuff. That's kind of been you know, my wife's been enjoying it because she's been working from home. But it's just one of those things, man. Hopefully the stuff will be opening back up this summer once this is all over. By no means do I want things opening up while this stuff's still going around, getting people sick. But hopefully it'll all be over and they'll have a vaccine, or the warm weather will kill it off, or whatever they're saying. You know, who knows? I don't think they really know. They're just kind of guessing. But hopefully all the guesses are right, and the warm weather kills this stuff off, and you know, we can get out and start going to taking some trips and staying places. And I know some places are still open and stuff, but I want to be able to take a trip where I can visit state parks, and Governor Abbott close those down. You know, whatever he needs to do to keep this from going bad. By no means am I knocking his decision, but I'm looking forward to those opening back up, so I can take a little bit longer trips and enjoy this bike a lot. I know the wildflowers are popping up everywhere. We don't really have any good bluebonnet patches up here in the North Metroplex area, at least that I know of. I know there's supposed to be a pretty good ride out towards out just southeast of Dallas. The Metroplex has a lot of bluebonnets. I don't even know what kind of flowers these are, but they're everywhere. They're pretty. But really, it's a perfect day if it wasn't so windy. You know, the wind's not terrible, but it definitely affects. You can feel the bike getting pushed with the wind, and really the only wind I feel on my person is from right here in this area where the fairing, you know, they don't come together right there. So I get a little wind there, but it's not, you know, it's nothing unbearable. It's just, it's kind of really nice because it kind of keeps you cool. You know, I'm by no means am I cold at all. It's a little chilly, but it's not bad. But it feels good. It's better than not having any wind at all. And when I rode the other day, and it wasn't quite as cool, it was a little bit warm. That wind was nice, having that wind. And earlier I was riding, I threw my feet up on the pegs, up here on the highway pegs like this, and I could feel my feet getting pretty chilly. And then I moved them back to that lower fairing, and they were immediately warm. So, but yeah, like I said, I mean, I know I'm being repetitive, but if you're in a toss-up whether or not to get a touring bike or what you want to get, if you know, if it's not going to leave you short or whatever with bills and money, buy a touring bike. I wouldn't recommend a brand new beginner buying a touring bike, because between you and me, I may or may not have laid this bike down like earlier today. It wasn't like I was driving or nothing. I just kind of like was pulling up my sidewalk, and I was gonna let the bike warm up while I got my gloves on and stuff. So as I'm pulling up the sidewalk, I realized I dropped one of my gloves behind me. So you know, normal routine, I put the kickstand down like I thought I put the kickstand down. I reached back, grabbed it with my foot, and I guess it slipped out and I didn't notice, or I didn't grab it with my foot, I'm not sure which one. And went to tip the bike onto the kickstand, and the kickstand was not there. It was still collapsed. And by that point, it was too late to try and grab the bike. These bikes are heavy. So I was able to slow it down from hitting the ground, and it kind of just laid over. And it, you know, it triggered the tip sensor. But really, I got super lucky because the saddlebag guard kind of went into the dirt. And so the saddlebag got a little dirt on it, but no damage anywhere. Just a little scuff on the bottom of the engine guard, and on a little bit of mud on that back saddlebag guard. It was all that happened. And I was terrified. I thought I just broke something. I was certain that I'd like punched a hole in the side of the derby cover or the primary cover or something. I was like, damn, I haven't even had this bike 4 days and I've already dropped it. Pretend that never happened. But you know, it definitely gave me a sense of knowing how heavy these bikes are and being a little bit more cautious, making sure that the kickstand is down before you go hopping off the bike to grab your gloves or whatever you're getting. So for a brand new rider, I would say get you a Sportster or something, even a Softail Slim or something. It wouldn't be that bad, I don't think. If you have any kind of, you know, common sense and maybe a little bit of practice on a dirt bike or something, you'd probably be okay. I'd ridden dirt bikes when I was a kid and stuff. By no means was I an expert in anything as far as motorcycles go. And I started on a Sportster and quickly moved up to a Softail within months. It was just too small. And I could have continued riding the Softail. It was fun. I had a good time on it. It was a great bike, but it just wasn't great for my wife, so I jumped up to the touring. And I honestly love the touring more than the Softail, even just for me. So if you're on the fence about whether or not you want a Softail or touring and you have the extra money you want to drop on one, I would definitely encourage it.